Many people are surprised to learn that Lift Every Voice and Sing was first written as a poem. Created by James Weldon Johnson, it was performed for the first time by 500 school children in celebration of President Lincoln's birthday on February 12, 1900 in Jacksonville, Florida. The poem was set to music by the Johnson brothers, John Rosamond Johnson, and soon adopted by the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, as its first official song. Today, Lift Every Voice and Sing is one of the most cherished songs of the African American Civil Rights Movement and is often referred to as the Black National Anthem. We'd ask right now that you please rise and join us in singing the Negro National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing. The words are located in your program on the second page. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Sing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Thank you. Be seated.
At 11 a.m. on March 27, 1961, 9 students from the historically black Tougaloo College walked into the all-white Jackson, Mississippi Public Library. Joseph Jackson Jr., their leader, approached the circulation desk with a thumping heart, and he stammered a message he had memorized. "Ma'am, I want to know if you have this philosophy book. I need it for a research project." "You know you don't belong here," the library assistant yelled, proceeding to call the library director. "May I help you?" the director asked, coming out of her office. "We're doing research," the students responded. "There's a colored library on Mill Street," she said. "You are welcome there." Almost immediately, Jackson later reported, police entered the building and told the students to get out of the library. No one moved. The chief of police then told them that they were under arrest. The group later became known as the Tougaloo Nine. This is the 2018 edition of the annual African American Read-In. This is the second of 2 read-in events facilitated by the Youth Development Team of Lincoln Public Schools and Lincoln City Libraries. My name is William Bryant, and I'm one of the Lincoln Public Schools student advocates for the African American community. Today's read-in represents ongoing collaboration between LPS and LCL. The National Council for the Teachers of English hosts the National African American Read-In. This national literacy initiative kicks off during Black History Month. The purpose of the read-in is to share the unique experiences found in African American literature with students from pre-K to adult. Today you will have the privilege to hear readings and no performance today, as well as the African American role and contributions of the African Americans in the world of literature and arts. We'll now have Pat Leach.
I am Pat Leach, the Director of Lincoln City Libraries, and it's my pleasure and honor today to welcome all of you to our African American Read-In and I want to say how glad I am to see all of you here, and I'm excited for our readings. The goal of the read-in, as Bill mentioned, is to make the celebration of African American literacy and literature a traditional part of Black History Month activities, as February is Black History Month. And we're delighted to partner with Lincoln Public Schools on these events. This is all about stories, sharing stories, remembering stories, honoring stories. And I want to point out, as the library is an educational institution, that we're honoring the role of education. So we're honoring the role of education in teaching and encouraging the people who tell the stories, its role in teaching and encouraging those who will study and learn from those stories, and especially those who write and tell the stories. So we're all about honoring story today and really demonstrating the power of literature with one another. I want to thank a couple of people who had a big hand in organizing this. One is Brenda Ely from Gear Branch Library and Pete Ferguson from Lincoln Public Schools. A warm round of applause for their efforts. And I want to especially say thank you to each of you who will be reading and sharing today. We're very pleased to have you here. Also, I want you to know that we're doing a collaboration with the Leach Center for Performing Arts. They are bringing in the musical The Color Purple in April, and so in concert with them, we are holding a variety of special events based on the book The Color Purple by Alice Walker. This overall program is called Savor the Color of Life. It encourages people to read The Color Purple, but also to read related literature and to be part of some special programs in regard to that. There are bookmarks at your places that give you more information, so I issue you a special invitation to partake in that. I get to begin with my chosen reading today, and I'm tickled that the author of the book, Catching a Storyfish, is Janice Harrington, who is originally from Lincoln, Nebraska. She graduated from Lincoln High School. She also said she spent lots of time at Bennett Martin Library as a young person. Janice currently teaches writing at the University of Illinois, and she has written and published several books, a few picture books for children, several volumes of poetry, and this book called Catching a Storyfish is a novel written in verse, so plenty of white space on her pages. It's a story of a girl who moves north with her family, partly to take care of their grandfather who is aging and ailing. And I want to just share a few of the poems that make up this story. The first poem is called The Storyfish. Grandpa says it's the storyfish that fills me with stories to tell. A storyfish all rainbow colored and quick, quick. A storyfish that's guppy small and sometimes as big as a whale. It leaps and plunges and dives down deep and swims inside my dreams. I have a storyfish inside me, a fish made of words. It nibbles when I'm daydreaming. But if I'm quiet, if I listen hard, I'll hear the storyfish, and it will tell me the best story ever. Listen, and you'll hear it too. Again, welcome to our time today, and I believe it's time for our first reader to come forward.
I want to preface this by saying I truly apologize. I have bronchitis. And I missed the first reading because I had the flu, so it's just an ongoing process. But good morning, I am Karen Beldancy, and I am the Executive Director of the YWCA. I also have the fortune of living about 2 blocks southeast of here, and on Sunday afternoon, I'm here, but more often and more importantly, my daughter and my grandkids, they spend Sunday afternoon here. So the love of reading has been generations in my family, and especially African American authors as well as African authors. The book I want to share with you today is a favorite, and I came across this book as a young mom with 2 young daughters, and wanting to make sure that each girl felt special and unique, and also experienced the gloriousness of sisterhood as I did, being the youngest of 4 sisters growing up in a family of 6. This book, I will share the cover, Mufaro's Beautiful Daughters, and it's a literary award-winning book, so many of you may have heard of it. The book is by Steptoe, And I'll briefly read the excerpt on it. Mufaro was a happy man. Everyone agreed that his two daughters were very beautiful. Nyasha was kind and considerate as well as beautiful, but everyone except for Mufaro knew that Manyata was selfish, bad-tempered, and spoiled. And my daughters would always say when I would read this book to them when they were small, "That's you, you're the spoiled one." So when the king decided to take a wife and invited the most worthy and beautiful daughters in the land to appear before him, Mufaro declared proudly that only one king could choose between Nyasha and Manara. Manara, of course, didn't agree and set out to make certain that she would be chosen. John Steptoe, not only did he write the book, but he also illustrated the book, and it's a very beautiful book. And I remember how my girls would be so excited saying, "That's me, that's me, that's me." As young girls, they were only 27 months apart. Now 30 and 33, as of last Saturday, they remain best friends. And I would like to think it was the essence of stories like this and these African tales and folklore that I and their dad would share with them. That's what helped and shaped their relationship that they have today. I wanted to instill in them self-love, humility, respectfulness, and kindness. I also gave them my love of literature, African folklore, poetry, and African American writing. When I stumbled upon this book by happenstance, we were in a bookstore years ago. First, it was the illustrations that struck me. I always wanted my girls to see very positive influences that looked just like them, different hues and shades like their family represent. These were the images that were portrayed of their ancestors, brilliant and magnificent. Mufaro's beautiful daughters offers such a nicely woven tale, and it starts out with one girl feeling one way against the other. And I won't tell the rest of the story, but I really encourage you to get this story. Mufaro had beautiful daughters. I have two beautiful daughters, and the love for the literature and for the story, they carry on today. And it's really, as I said, evident in my youngest daughter as she shared with her kids today. A little bit about the author. John Steptoe was born in Brooklyn. From early childhood, he drew pictures and told stories with them. He started his work on Stevie, his first picture book, and I had that book also, when he was just 16. It was published 3 years later to outstanding critical acclaim. Since then, he has written and illustrated many successful books for children, including The Story of the Jumping Mouth, which was selected for a literary award. This is a very inspirational story, and of course the story generates in Africa, just like the center of humanity, but more importantly, the generations before of my beautiful daughters. So I share with you Mufaro's beautiful daughters, and thank you for this opportunity.
Hello, my name is Javon Ludi, and I'm a scholar at Goodrich Middle School, and I'm in 7th grade. Drained of strength and energy of people growing tired of the movement, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., like many, wondered if he would have enough fight left in him to finish the job. Fatigued of the same headlines and country not caring, King shared with the 1955 Chicago Holt Street Church congregation why he must march. I stand before you with my peers and acknowledge we don't have as much education as some of you, yet. We don't have much political power, yet. We do have some. We have bodies, we have souls. We will be able to change this city and make it an open city. They were saying to us yesterday, don't march. I listened to them and I said to myself, we're gonna march. I said to Nebraska, do you want us to stop marching? Then make justice a reality. If you want a moratorium on demonstrations, put a moratorium on injustice. If you want us to end our moves into communities, open these communities. We'll be glad to stop marching. I don't mind saying to Nebraska, America, or anybody, we are tired of marching. Tired of marching for something that should have been mine at birth, on April 17th, 2005. It should have been mine. I don't mind saying to you this morning that I'm tired of the tension surrounding our days. I'm tired of the president's negative tweets. I don't mind saying to you this morning that I'm tired of living every day under the threat of death. I have no martyr complex. I want to live as long as anybody in this building this morning. And sometimes I begin to doubt whether I'm going to make it through. I must confess I'm tired. Yes, I'm tired of going to jail. I'm tired of all the surging murmur of life's relentless sea. But I'll tell anybody, I'm willing to stop marching. I don't march because I like it. I march because I must. And because I'm a man. And because I, Javon Sanchez Ludi, a 7th grader at Goodrich Middle School, is a child of God.
Wonderful job. Hello, good afternoon. My name is Ash Wimes. I am, I guess, let's see, I am a brother, a son, an uncle, a cousin, a father, and I'm a husband. I should say that too. I would really get in trouble if I forget that. I work full-time at Bryan College of Health Sciences. So for many of you, most of us are familiar with Bryan Medical Center. A lot of us are not as familiar with the college being located in the midst of the medical center. It's good to be here. This is a wonderful event, one that I look forward to on a yearly basis. So it's good to be with you all this morning. The excerpt that I'm going to share with you this morning, I have two excerpts actually, that were written by John C. Gorman. John is the executive director of Right and Left, Inc. This is an excerpt titled Bigotry, Hatred, and Intolerance. As I reflect on the American Heritage Dictionary, definitions of certain words, I am struck by how often those words are denied or distorted by those whom they apply for. Instance, hatred, defined as to feel animosity or hostility toward or to detest. Bigot, one who is strongly partial to one's own group, religion, or politics and is intolerant to those who differ. Intolerance, defined as being unable or unwilling to endure or support differences in beliefs or opinions. So along with many others, the essence of these words are included in much of today's political dialogue, yet are soundly disclaimed by many of their practitioners. Hatred, bigotry, and intolerance are practiced and openly embraced by many groups today. Supremacy groups, KKK, and others, but they're repudiated by others who embrace them nevertheless. After all, how could anyone wearing a halo of love, diversity, and tolerance ever accept that they reject, in the severest possible terms, people and ideas that are outside of their understanding? It would take deep insight for such a person to see themselves in that mirror. Like someone more clever than me once said, beneath the most splendid palaces run sewers more stinky than the open gutters. It is indeed a person of high character that will venture to detect those sewers. The next excerpt I'm going to read is titled Why Civility Matters. And I think we're in a day and age where I think we can certainly make a strong argument for the importance of civility. So this excerpt goes as this. Civility goes beyond politeness, good manners, and attentive listening. It includes sharing our beliefs and values with others while maintaining a sincere respect for theirs. It demands an open mind and a willingness to have our biases and opinions challenged. We're truly civilized when we're ready, willing, and eager to accept and support a superior argument. Incivility stands in the way of problem solving and developing ideas for advancement. It nullifies the great advantage humans have, pulling ideas to accomplish what no single one of us can do alone. and inevitably leads to conflict. In short, incivility does destroy the human potential. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Charlotte Duncan Wagner. I work for State Farm Insurance for 30 years, but I am the first-time published author of The Backpacks with Feet. It's illustrated by UNL alum Jerry Washington Jr. He is currently doing student teaching in Lincoln Public School. I'm going to read an excerpt from my book, The Reader's Notes. The Backpacks with Feet is a read-aloud book. The book can be personalized by inserting the name of the school and street as a replacement for a phrase that you will hear at your school on that street. For example, I was inspired by working with Pete Ferguson at Elliott Elementary in 2009. So it will say at Elliott School on 25th Street. Alex Brown lived across the street from your school on that street. Each Friday, he waved to everyone that walked past the big front window of his family's house. Good morning, teachers. Good morning, parents. Good morning, Backpacks with Feet, Alex said. Hello. Good morning. Hi, someone would say. Was that you walking? Each Friday, Alex's mama would set an extra plate at the dining table. Alex's Grandpa Jay came for breakfast one day a week before he went to volunteer at your school on that street. Grandpa Jay laughed and chewed food with his mouth open on Fridays. He did not walk slow on Fridays. Grandpa Jay ate fast on Fridays. As Alex neared the schoolhouse steps, he could hear many voices laughing, talking, and whispering in many languages. Was that you talking? Buenos dias, Alex said, as he stepped aside for group one, to allow them into the door for the morning assembly. Good morning, Alex said to group two. The Backpacks with Feet stepped aside. Not a single backpack with feet gave a reply. There were more backpacks with feet bumping in and out of the ziggy-zaggy lines waiting to enter door A, B, and C. Good morning to me and you, Alex said to them. Not one backpack with feet replied as they sidestepped on by. The Backpacks with Feet wear many shoes. Purple basketball shoes with red lights, combat boots, and sandals too. Those Backpacks with Feet wore sneakers with orange flowers, green buttons, blue shoes with lightning stripes. Some Backpacks with Feet wore sparkling ballet flats and jeweled moccasins. Are those your shoes? Alex tried, "Xin chao," to the Backpacks with Feet who marched in with their heads to the side, not seeing their face, sparkling eyes, or even a smile. Those Backpacks with Feet had curly and straight hair, beads and braids, buzz cuts and fades, and scarves and hijabs on their head. Assalamu alaikum, Alex said to other Backpacks with Feet who stepped on by. If some Backpacks with Feet will not speak, give it another try. In a clear, loud voice, "Wa alaikum assalam," one Backpack with Feet replied. Then 2, 3, and 4 Backpacks with Feet made the choice to look up at Alex and kindly smile. Hi, bonjour, ni hao, hola, another Backpack with Feet said to Alex with a smile. Alex and Grandpa Jay quietly closed door A, as did each volunteer at door B and door C. And now, welcome to the stage, our star greeter, second grader Alex Brown, who will give us directions about the Weekend Backpack program and lead us in greetings and affirmations. The gym exploded with thunderous applause as he stood in front of teachers, Grandpa Jay, volunteers, and all of the backpacks with feet. "Good morning, I am Alex Ivory Brown," he said to the smiling faces of the boys and girls at your school on that street. "Well, I want to introduce you to my Grandpa Jay, who is a community volunteer with the Weekend Backpack Program." "He is not a stranger," Alex said. "Always practice good manners at home and school, like hello and thank you. If you see Grandpa Jay around the school, he may say hi, so try to smile." When I say good morning, tell us why you are special. "Good morning, everyone." "Hola, I am somebody because I am me," Dancing Diana said. "Bonjour, I am somebody special because I can read," Weber Will said. Hillary Hilltop rose from sitting to standing to proudly say, "Good morning, I am somebody special because I respect myself and others." Was that you? That is an excerpt from the book. There's more.
Good afternoon. Sam Dixon, the head women's basketball coach at Nebraska Wesleyan University. I've been coaching quite a long time, and I have always been called that education is paramount for our youth and our growth as a country. At Wesleyan, we're really proud of our academic excellence and the opportunities that occur for our students. Especially with my players, we talk about goals and dreams and obstacles that you're going to have to face in your life, on the basketball court, and in the classroom sometimes. So I chose a poem by Howard Simon, and it's titled, "I Choose the Mountain." "The lowlands call, I am tempted to answer. They are offering me free dwelling without having to conquer. The massive mountain makes its move, beckoning me to ascend, a much more difficult path to get up that slippery bend. I cannot choose both. I have to make a wise choice. I must be wise. This will determine my fate. I choose the mountain, with all its stress and strain, because only by climbing can I rise above the plain. I choose the mountain. I will never stop climbing. I choose the mountain, and I shall forever be ascending. I choose the mountain." In athletics and in education, we're all going to face challenges. And there's the easy path, which won't get us very much. But if we choose to commit ourselves to our goals and dreams, fight the struggles, we will continue to have success in our lives. Thank you.
My name is Shavonna Loster, and I'm the Health Director for the Lincoln-Lancaster County Health Department. And it's my pleasure to be here today. I'm new to Lincoln, and I'm still learning the city, and I'm excited for my family to get here and to get plugged in. But I want to share with you a poem today written by Amanda Gorman. She is a 19-year-old African-American young woman, and she's the first ever Youth Poet Laureate in the United States. And her poem is titled, "In This Place, an American Lyric." And it encourages us to use our voices and our pen to continue to fight for social justice and write a new song for America, the America that I want my two young daughters to grow up in, to contribute, and to live in. So the poem, "In This Place, an American Lyric." There's a poem in this place, in the footfalls in the halls, in the quiet beat of the seats. It is here at the curtain of the day where America writes a lyric you must whisper to say. There's a poem in this place, in the heavy grace, the lined face of this noble building, collections burned and reborn twice. There's a poem in Boston's Copley Square, where protest chants tear through the air like sheets of rain, where love of the many swallows hatred of the few. There's a poem in Charlottesville, where tiki torches string a ring of flame tight round the wrist of night, where men so white they gleam blue, seem like statues, ever high, where men heap that long wax burning, ever higher, where heather higher blooms forever in a meadow of resistance. There's a poem in the great sleeping giant of Lake Michigan, defiantly rising, its blue head to Milwaukee and Chicago. A poem begun long ago, blazed into frozen soil, strutting upward and aglow. There's a poem in Florida, in East Texas, where streets swell into a nexus of rivers, cows afloat like mottled buoys in the brown, where courage is now so common that 23-year-old Jesus Contreras rescues people from floodwaters. There's a poem in Los Angeles, yawning wide as the Pacific tide, where a single mother swelters in a windowless classroom, teaching black and brown students in Watts to spell out their thoughts so their daughter might write this poem for you. There's a lyric in California where thousands of students march for blocks, undocumented and unafraid, where my friend Rosa finds the power to blossom in deadlock, her spirit the bedrock of her community. She knows hope is like a stubborn ship gripping a dock, a truth that you can't stop a dreamer or knock down a dream. How could this not be her city, su nation, our country, our America, our American lyric to write? A poem by the people, the poor, the Protestant, the Muslim, the Jew, the native, the immigrant, the black, the brown, the blind, the brave, the undocumented and undeterred, the woman, the man, the non-binary, the white, the trans, the ally to all of the above and more. Tyrants fear the poet. Now that we know it, we can't blow it. We owe it to show it, not slow it, although it hurts to sow it when the world skirts below it. Hope. We must bestow it like a wick in the poet so it can grow, lit, bringing with it stories to rewrite. The story of a Texas city, depleted but not defeated. A history written that need not be repeated. A nation composed but not yet completed. There's a poem in this place, a poem in America, a poet in every American who rewrites this nation, who tells a story worthy of being told on this minnow of an earth. To breathe hope in a palimpsest of time, a poet in every American who sees that our poem pen doesn't mean our poems end. There's a place where this poem dwells. It is here, it is now, in the yellow song of dawn's bell. Where we write an American lyric, we are just beginning to tell. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amaya Smith, and I am a scholar at Yankee Hill High School, and I will be reading Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., What is Your Life's Blueprint? On October 26, 1967, 6 months before he was assassinated, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke to a group of students at Barrett Junior High School in Philadelphia. I want to ask you a question, and that is, what is your life's blueprint? Whenever a building is constructed, you usually have an architect who draws a blueprint, and that blueprint serves as the pattern and as the guide, and a building is not well erected without a good, solid blueprint. Now, each of you is in the process of building the structure of your lives, and the question is whether you have a proper, a solid, and a sound blueprint. I want to suggest some of the things that should begin your life's blueprint. Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you're nobody. Always feel that you count, always feel that you have worth, and always feel that your life has ultimate significance. Secondly, in your life's blueprint, you must have as the basic principle the determination to achieve excellence in your various fields of endeavor. You're going to be deciding as the years unfold, what you will do in your life. Whatever your life's work will be, set out to do it well. And I say to you, my young friends, doors are opening to you, doors of opportunities that were not open to your mothers and your fathers, and the great challenges facing you is to be ready to face these doors as they open. Ralph Waldo Emerson, the great essayist, said in a lecture in 1871, if a man can write a better book or preach a better sermon or make a better mousetrap than his neighbor, even if he builds his house in the woods, the world will make a beaten path to his door. This hasn't always been true, but it will become increasingly true, and so I would urge you to study hard and to burn the midnight oil. I would say to you, don't drop out of school. I understand all the sociological reasons, but I urge you that in spite of your economic plight, in spite of the situation that you're forced to live in, stay in school. And when you discover what you will be in your life, set out to do it if God Almighty called you at this particular moment in history to do it. Don't just set out to do a good job, set out to do such a good job that the living, the dead, or the unborn couldn't do it any better. If it falls your lot to be a street sweeper, sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures. Sweep streets like Beethoven composed music. Sweep streets like Leonte Price sings before the Metropolitan Opera. Sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry. Sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his job well. If you can't be a tine at the top of the hill, be a shrub in the valley. Be the best little shrub on the side of the hill. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be a sun, be a star, for it isn't by size that you win or fail. Be the best of whatever you are. Finally, in your life's blueprint must be a commitment to the eternal principles of beauty, love, and justice. Well, life for none of us has been a crystal stair, but we must keep moving, we must keep going. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving.
Good afternoon. My name is Todd Fitzgerald. I am a father. I am a community stakeholder. I am Community Relations Director for Women of Faith Ministries, an aspiring author, and the founder and director of Pittsburgh Basketball Academy. A lot of stuff that I like to do. I'm also the relief pitcher every once in a while for Pete. So every once in a while, Pete will have to put in a call to the bullpen and see if I'm available. So with Coach Dixon, I'm kind of keeping along the sports metaphors today. So the one really unique thing about sports is it's a metaphor for life. And not only the lessons that we teach our children on the hardwood, on the baseball diamond, those are lessons that they can take out into the world today. We can look at sports being a social platform, from Jackie Robinson to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to Bill Russell to Jim Brown, even Colin Kaepernick today. Sports has become a platform for voices that have an opportunity to be heard. Again, looking at during the civil rights movement, African American athletes played a huge role in bringing awareness and with the injustices in our country. Today I'm going to read a couple of selections from author Nikki Giovanni's Blues for All Changes. This first one that I'm going to read is called Stealing Home for Jack Robinson. Let's draw a portrait of Jackie Robinson. No, wait, we can't draw a picture of a shadow zipping by a man who hid himself. Let's draw a picture of an oak tree, one maybe 300 feet tall. And let's add one Salier who wants to make some money or watch a tree fall to be shattered from its roots, to be cut up for dumb little things like night tables. 100% pure lazy oak Susans, just what the wife needs for summer barbecue. All leftover pieces can be used for toothpicks, especially if we polish the ends. Wait. Now maybe that won't do. Maybe what we can really do is paint a picture of a mahogany tree, black, tall as an old oak, herself where Adam regained his responsibility to protect and defend Eve. Here where, with the work of his hands, couldn't work with the mind, ended up re-engaging his sons who murdered the one. And then there's Adam, not understanding with his responsibilities, but looking for a darker reason why he is venal, weak man with jealousy and envy on constant emotions. Sometimes he'll throw in hate just to give himself a reason to act, react, to wonder. The trees. He lifts his eyes, and the great mahogany tree, which is hard as a rock, sends cool breeze down there, is old ugly Adam, trying to find a way to cut the tree down to Adam's size. Okay, it's hard to draw. Let's just put some lines on the diamond in a shape and show the dust kicking up and show a black man sprinting around the bases so fast with the people and the ball don't know which base to throw to because, by golly, that young man is stealing home. And nobody steals home except those black men who think they can fly, except those black men who find some kind of shadow from every large tree. But there's no trees on the baseball diamond, so why can't we see him stealing home? Yes, there is. It is the mother, Maylie, sister Willa May, and Lady Rachel throwing cloaks of love over him, making the players not see him out there, but the black community throwing love at him, making the hate of others miss the mark. No wonder he steals home. He has a path lined with love and respect, as well as wonder and opportunity. So let's draw a picture of love and hope and responsibilities with a man as tall as an oak, as strong as mahogany, as swift as the wind, with a heart so big, one day it needed to fly and has to carry the man with us. Let's show the wind swirling and the dust rising, the sun shining down, and let his name this picture, Jackie Robinson, and call it Stealing Home, to love both earned and accepted. Opening day, or hey, start a contest. So don't make a mistake, baseball is not fair. It doesn't care about blacks, browns, yellow, reds, or women. No, it's not a national pastime. Either the Klan, the White Knights, the skinheads, the crazy, fat, lazy white boys who can't throw, bat, bunt, or sacrifice are national pastime, but baseball is a way. When stupid things are not being said or done, to pass a lazy afternoon. So it is only natural that the NBA owners can't control the urge to pay black men who can put a ball through a hoop, multi-millions of dollars, who would lock players out so that they don't have a say, no, lose the services of the players, and they can collude and then say, I would pay you more, but the salary cap won't let me. Which is sort of like missionaries telling African women, you must cover your breasts since the sight of your beauty excites me. And I really don't understand why Pete Sampras is considered boring when all he does is play a game without spitting on fans, without kicking referees, without grabbing his privates and flipping it at people. And then there are those who say Sampras is boring because they think tennis is a white sport. And the young man is a bit too swarthy for them. But whatever the reason is, Sampras is a great player. Old as Bud Collins, ought to get a real job instead of hoping for the good old days when people had to pretend he knew what he was talking about. And none of this has to do with opening day, because opening day doesn't mean anything anymore, since no one knows who's on what team, but what team plays in the World Series, which isn't a World Series, but a North American series, will have an Indian name despite the reality that the Native Americans repeatedly ask that they have the names changed of those teams, but the owners of some of their more stupid fans insist that of their less stupid fans refuse to understand why Native Americans may not want to be a mascot. I don't know. I know I could have a fit if it was the Atlanta Niggers or the Los Angeles Jungle Bunnies or the Kansas City Canucks or the Chicago Polacks, the Boston Bastards, and we should surely go but the Cleveland Indians or the Indians, because no Native American has asked a Unabomber for help in expressing dissatisfaction. So on opening day, which used to be in Cincinnati, but now everybody wants to be the first, it's no far north, though Cincinnati is the gateway to the South, and it naturally shows, but people used to stay out there just because the Reds are the home team. But now Marge Schott has had control of the team, and all you see are empty seats and people that are too ashamed because Jackie Robinson gave his life thinking that he could make things better. We integrated now and then that baseball follows America. It does not lead to goody-goody. Al Campanis is gone, and Howard Cosell is gone, and at least the white boys, who are all only there to realize that they need to watch what they say. Someone needs to tell tennis players that players have names because it is a short distance from the Croat to the Swiss Miss to the nigger. And no one wants to grow up in tennis. You are an intentional game, and so is basketball, and so is baseball. So on opening day, consider how much money the game has. And why not get baseball and Anthem and stop the patriotic bull, since no one is loyal to anything but the almighty dollar. Start a contest, and we will all enter. And again, looking at the words, looking at the world that we live in today, there are so many parallels to what we want to teach our kids in regards to sports. We want them to understand, again, that the lessons that they learn on the diamond are the lessons that are going to help them when they go to the boardroom. The lessons that they learn on the court are going to be the lessons that they learn on how to work in a team environment, but have their identity on who they are. Thank you.
And the name of the book is The Eagles Who Thought They Were Chickens. In the beginning, there was once a great king who ruled a vast kingdom. He was a wise and compassionate king who earned the love, admiration, and respect of the people. Perched at the right hand of his throne was a great eagle. Each day the eagle would soar through the clouds. As the great eagle flew throughout the kingdom, the people would look up into the sky with pride at this great eagle, and it symbolized the greatness of the kingdom. It was a land rich in natural beauty and resources. The people were full of pride, possessing a rich culture and heritage. But one day invaders came into the land and there was a great battle. The kingdom was overthrown, the people were captured, and the great eagle was put into a cage and placed with the people aboard a ship. The great eagle, who had only known freedom, could not live in the cage and would die during the middle passage between Africa and the Americas. However, before the eagle died, she laid 3 eggs. Upon the death of the eagle, a shipmate went to the captain and said, "Captain, the great eagle has died. However, she has laid 3 eggs. The captain laughed and said, "Ha, put the eggs in with the chickens." The captain knew that this great eagle was the last remaining symbol of the once strong and proud people whom he had captured. Her eggs would be hatched and raised as chickens. They would become a symbol of the captain's conquest. In the chicken yard. After the ship completed its journey, the eagle eggs, together with the chickens, were taken to the chicken yard. A short time later, the eggs hatched. 2 boys and 1 girl eagle were born. The chickens laughed at the baby eagles. Ha, ha, ha. What ugly chickens. Look at their big heads and short necks. Look at how long and out of proportion their wings are. The baby eagles were the objects of constant scorn and ridicule by the chickens and were made to feel ugly and inferior. Not knowing of the greatness of their culture and heritage, they walked throughout the chicken yard with their heads down, feeling that they were indeed dumb and ugly chickens. Another eagle is captured. The ship made another journey, and another kingdom was overthrown, and another great eagle was captured. However, this eagle survived the middle passage, and when the ship returned to America, the wings of the great eagle were clipped, and he was thrown into the chicken yard. But the spirit of the eagle was not broken, and he flapped his wings desperately, trying to fly. The chickens laughed at the frustrated efforts of the foolish, ugly chicken. The chickens laughed at the eagle, saying, "What are you trying to do, you dumb, ugly chicken? Chickens can't fly." But the eagle responded, "I am not dumb, I am not ugly, and I'm certainly not a chicken." The eagle turned to the other eagles who thought they were chickens and said to them, "We are not chickens. We have come from a land rich in history and cultural heritage. We were not born to walk like chickens, but to soar through the clouds. We are the symbols of a great and proud people." He then turned to the chickens and yelled at them, "Be quiet, you foolish chickens." The chickens were frightened by this bold and arrogant chicken. They ran to the roosters and told them of the confusion that this ugly chicken was causing and of how boldly he had spoken to them. There were 3 roosters who reigned over the chicken yard. When they heard of this arrogant chicken, they went to the great eagle and demanded that he be quiet, stop his boasting, and causing so much commotion in the chicken yard. But the eagle spoke boldly to the roosters, saying, "How dare you call me a chicken? I am an eagle." The roosters were shocked at the boldness of this ugly chicken and immediately attacked the eagle. With his wings clipped, the 3 roosters were too much for the eagle. The roosters pecked and clawed the eagle until he lay on the ground, beaten and defeated. The roosters and chickens laughed at the beaten eagle. One of the roosters turned to the other eagles and said, "You dumb, ugly chickens had better not cause any trouble, or the same will happen to you." The eagles, who were afraid of the roosters, bowed their heads, turned, and walked away. The great eagle eventually dragged himself into a corner of the chicken yard where he lay beaten and defeated. The chickens continued to scorn and ridicule the eagle as he laid there day after day. One day in the chicken yard, one morning as the chickens came out into the chicken yard, they noticed that the great eagle, who was no longer lying in the corner. There were all sorts of commotion as the chickens and eagles, who thought they were chickens, wondered what happened to the ugly chicken. When the roosters heard that the chicken whom they had beaten was no longer lying in the corner of the chicken yard, they began crowing. One of the roosters asked, "Where is that ugly chicken? If he's causing trouble again, we'll have to teach him another lesson." At that moment, one of the chickens pointed to the top of the chicken yard fence and shouted, "There he is! There perched atop the fence was the great eagle, whose wounds had healed and whose clipped wings had once again grown full. One of the chickens shouted, "You dumb chicken, you'd better get down off that fence. Chickens can't fly." One of the roosters shouted, "You dumb chicken, we're really going to teach you a lesson this time." One of the eagles who thought they were chickens shouted, "You'd better come down from there or you'll get us all in trouble." But the great eagle simply ignored the demands of the chicken and the threat of the rooster. He turned to the eagle. "My brother, we are not chickens. As I told you when I was first brought here, we are eagles. We are descendants of a strong and proud people. Ours is a history rich in its greatness and cultural heritage. We were born to live or to walk. We were not born to live or walk as chickens, but to soar into the clouds. Come with me, spread your wings and fly." The great eagle spoke with power and authority. The boldness and conviction of his words touched the spirit of the eagles, who lifted his head and spread his wings. As he flapped his wings, he lifted a few feet from the ground, but became frightened and fell back to the ground. The roosters and chickens all laughed at how foolish and arrogant this great eagle was to tell these ugly chickens that they could fly. But the great eagle spoke again. "Trust me, my brothers. Come with me, my sister. You can do it. You have the power to soar into the clouds." With this encouragement, the eagle flapped his wings again and soared above the chicken yard. The chickens and roosters were speechless. With wonder and surprise, they could only watch as this great bird, who had only known shame and ridicule in his life, who believed himself to be dumb and ugly, now soared high above the chicken yard with pride and a newfound dignity. His wings were indeed beautiful and strong. The young female eagle didn't need any more encouragement. She simply started running as an airplane going down a runway, flapping her wings. She soared into the sky, full of pride and grace. No longer a dumb, ugly chicken, she realized her brilliance and beauty. The great eagle turned to the last remaining eagle and said, "Come with us. Believe in yourself. Just spread your wings and fly." But the last eagle lowered his head and said, "I cannot. I'm a chicken. Chickens cannot fly." The great eagle understood that despite his potential, the last remaining eagle had lived with ridicule for too long. His spirit had been broken. His self-esteem had been crushed. His self-image had been destroyed. Never knowing the richness of his culture, the brilliance of his people, or the land from which he had come, he did not believe that such a place existed or that he had the power to fly. The great eagle spread his massive wings and like an eclipse, his shadow covered the chicken yard. He said to the remaining eagle, who was steadfast in his belief that he was a chicken, "I will pray for you, my brother, that one day you will come to understand the richness of your culture and heritage, that you too will join us, for our destiny is in the skies." With that, the great eagle flapped his wings and soared with beauty and majesty into the sky, where he joined the other two eagles. "Come, my brother and sister, we must journey throughout this land. There are many eagles who are living as chickens. Their wings have been clipped and their spirits have been broken. Since that day, eagles have been soaring throughout the world, helping others to believe in their beauty, their brilliance, their potential, and the extraordinary possibilities in their lives."
Whoa, I feel like we have come full circle from Bill's original story of people being turned away from a public library to an incredible demonstration of all of these stories in this place available for all of us, and story, words, education. We will be having a drawing for some swell prizes in just a moment, but I want to mention a couple of other things on behalf of the public library. One is welcome again. I want to make the point again that all are welcome here. I want to point out that at the library we try to make sure that in the things that you see at the library, the books that you see, the posters on the wall, that everyone see themselves here. And in keeping that in mind, I want to mention in a very practical way, often the libraries are hiring new staff. Those positions are posted through the City of Lincoln and Lancaster County Human Resources Department. If you're interested in a job at a public library or know of somebody who would be a great employee here, please be aware that's how jobs happen at the library, and we're always looking for quality applicants. So I put that out there in case any of you might know of someone who maybe wants to join with us. Again, thank you for your part of words, of story, of education, and most of all, of the community that those things create.